Warning, incoming game over. Warning, incoming game over.
The Calgary Flames, hey, they actually win a game. Win 2 in a row, in fact. And both of them backstopped not by Dustin Wolf, but by the calm, cool, collected Devin Cooley. Those aren't words I thought I'd expect to say this season, Flames fans. But, you know, it happens. Welcome to Game Over Calgary. The Flames win in a shootout. Final score 3-2, despite the fact I think I put 4-3 in the description. It's one of those nights. It's the late game of Hockey Night in Canada. I can't be fully awake at this time. I'll get that fixed. But boy, oh boy, what a finals. What a different way for these Flames to win. Obviously, last game with Devin Cooley in net, it was a scoring showdown. The Flames bursting for 4 goals in the third, but today they start ahead, and hey, for once they do kind of give up a lead, but don't fully give up the lead. Still able to take this one in, as I said, in the shootout. Another incredible game for Matt Coronato, who I've called Matt Scoronado throughout this team's time. Might need to start calling him Matt Scaronato after that scary hit into the boards. But at the end of the day, they don't ask how, they ask how many, and the Flames managing to keep a little bit of pace in terms of the standings in this one. I say that and I had to look up. You know what? Yeah, we are still kind of on pace with the Predators. Obviously, the Flames moving to 7-13-3 with their win over the Stars. Oh boy, yeah, Denim Man, welcome to chat. I know you were planning on streaming today, so welcome and thank you for stopping in. But we'll head to our recap before we start talking more about this game. And then, of course, talking about the thing that all of Flames fandom is talking about, the Don Maloney comments. Eric Francis kind of had his little articles come out about that over the last 2 days. So, to the recap. Hottest Calgary Flame right now, without a doubt, is Matt Coronato. And boy, did he prove that he is going to be a 30-goal scorer in this league someday if this team can have any measure of outstanding success. Takes the pass from Nazem Kadri at the goal line, danced his way out front, tucks this one in behind the backup in goal today, Casey DeSmith, taking Casey DeLoss. And I did notice I apologize, folks. It's looks like it's gone to the YouTube, whatever your account name is, to tag you in chat today, instead of having the name you want. I apologize. I'll get that fixed for tomorrow's game. But yeah, just a nifty move. And Matt Coronato, given a lot of time, a lot of space, obviously on the power play, danced around Miro Heiskanen to get to the front of the net and tucked it home. Obviously, I've really thought as a hockey fan that Miro Heiskanen is a guy the Flames could target. Don't think you're getting him out of Dallas anytime soon. But nice goal there from Matt Coronato. Gets the opening goal of the game, the only goal of the first period. And good to see the Flames power play starting to look like they, actually know how to play hockey. Because there's been long periods this season the Flames didn't look like they knew how to play on the power play and didn't know how to produce on it. And they get one here. Good for the Flames. They get outshot in the first period 7-13 by Dallas. But all in all, can't be unhappy about Matt Coronato producing at the volume he has. Really starting to seem to find his way with Nazem Kadri on the ice. is it Kadri that's elevating Coronado's game, or is it Coronado finally finding his place later as the season goes on? I thought he was dealing with a little bit of a wrist injury coming out of the preseason. Nothing ever officially came out on that. This was just my eye test, looking at how he released the puck last year and how he was releasing it earlier this year. I think maybe that's been fixed. Obviously, don't go off the shot later on in the game. But Matt Coronado really starting to fill into the form that we as Flames fans knew was there. Everybody that's been watching him through his college career knew was there. It's finally starting to come together. And I know there's this conversation of where in those top 9 forwards Matt Coronado fits for this team moving forward. And you have to think it is pretty darn high. I think it's got to be top 6. I don't think he's a third-line player in this league anymore. But certainly has been the hottest Calgary Flame over the last stretch of, let's call it, 8 games. Love to see him continuing his hot streak. Assists go to Kadri and Huberdeau. Second period, not much to really speak of until about the 18-19 minute mark, when Mikko Rantanen absolutely runs straight through the stop sign that's on the back of youth jerseys, shoving Matthew Coronado right into the edge of the boards. Coronado sliced open. I don't love how often they played replays of a player that left the ice quite vigorously bleeding, but I understand you gotta have as many of those, have people understand what went on, but don't love that from Sportsnet. I know Kelly Reedy's really good at that. It says, I'm not going to watch it anymore. You guys can keep showing it. I'm not going to keep watching it. I kind of had to turn away because quite a gory scene there, and obviously kind of an extended break there to get some of the crimson off the ice. And speaking of Jonathan Huberdeau, had the assist earlier, steps up for his winger and takes on Mikko Rantanen, who is not necessarily known to be a fighter, but is a tough customer and one of the bigger guys on the ice. So good to see Huberdeau say, you know what, I'm going to be the leader, play what my contract's worth, and go get involved. So Rantanen gets 5 for fighting, 5 for boarding, and the game misconduct. Huberdeau gets 2, 5, and 10. Didn't love the 2, 5, 10. I think 2 and 5 makes sense. I don't think... I guess maybe that is the rule as written, that it needs to come with the 10-minute misconduct as well. It just didn't feel like it was necessarily needed. And as Matt C. mentioned in chat, it was in a very, very similar position on the ice. I think just literally the other side, mirrored other side of the ice from where Rantanen hit Connor Zary and messed up his knee for the second time. So... and like, as the second time in as many games that Rantanen has had to have a game misconduct called, you have to think Department of Player Safety is going to probably throw more than the $5,000 fine in the direction of the Dallas Stars star. Because don't get me wrong, Mikko Rantanen absolutely is a player that changes games in the NHL, but that was a terrible hit regardless of the level of skill of the player. Like, that very easily could have been broken nose, orbital. We don't know any of that. I don't think the Flames have x-ray facilities on site like some of the other teams do. And I want to see if he does media tomorrow in Vancouver, because you have to imagine that shiner that he was starting to show in the third period is just going to get worse and worse as time goes on. But, you know, ugly hit. Just glad to see that Matt Coronado Scarnado was able to return despite the blood dripping down his face. So we go into the third period. The Flames get on the board early, of course. They had the power play from the 5-minute major established for boarding. And I would love to see the Flames score more, but Joel Farabee gets the tip in off a booming shot from Rasmus Andersson at the point. And guess who gets the secondary assist? A guy that's been as I said, really leading the ship. Nazem Kadri, his 12th assist of the year. And I guess this is where I do agree with Don Maloney. I'm sure every team in the NHL wishes they could have more Nazem Kadris. Because when Naz is on, he is a very, very explosive and dangerous player. We're seeing the best Nazem Kadri I think we've seen in a long time with the Flames over this last stretch of 3 games. I thought he was one of the better players in Chicago, let alone how well he played in the previous Flames game against Buffalo. And then comes away with 2 assists, and hold that thought, I think we'll be mentioning him a little bit later. But anyways, great shot from Rasmus too, just takes his time, takes his shot. Would have loved to see them try and maybe get Rasmus a few more shooting lanes when they were 5-on-3 and couldn't take advantage. But again, Joel Farabee, right place, right time, gets in the eyes of DeSmith, tips it home. Flames managed to take the 2-goal lead. But stop me if you've heard this one before. Jason Robertson scoring in Calgary. I don't know what it is, but Jason Robertson seems to love to score against the Flames. I almost was joking with my friends before the game today that I should put money. Don't love talking about betting. It's one of the things that's icky. But I should have put money down on Jason Robertson scoring, because it seems that every time the Stars come to town, Jason Robertson scores at least 1. And he gets his goal. His 6-game scoring streak, if I heard on the broadcast correctly, continues as he finds a hole in Cooley that I think Devin really would have liked to have back. Just couldn't quite get down in the butterfly fast enough. Assist to Tyler Seguin and Capo Bianco. I thought Capo Bianco was one of the stars that I noticed really, really well today. To look to the other side. But gets his first assist of the year. And that put life into the Stars. And the Stars kept pushing. And with 3 minutes left on the clock, they get the tying goal. Rupe Hintz just kind of snuck his way into the soft spot in between the circles. Blasts one past Cooley, his 5th of the year. Assist to Robertson and Lindell. And I was kind of worried the Flames were going to lose this one in overtime or in regulation, because the Stars started to press. And they really had the Flames chasing the game. Like, obviously, you saw the 5-on-3, and I thought, oh boy, this could be where this Flames stretch ends, and the Stars absolutely take over. But some great performance from Devin Cooley, some great performance from the Flames penalty killers. Gets this one over the line. We go to overtime. 4-on-4 for basically the whole time, minus the 12 seconds or 18 seconds of John Beecher's tripping call. And, you know, the Stars had vast opportunities. They vastly outchanced the Flames in overtime. I don't know if they only credited both teams with 1 shot, but Dallas certainly was firing at will, even if it was going off legs and carrying into the corners. Had to take their opportunities. Like, the only period the Flames outshot Dallas today was in that second period where nothing happened other than the penalty, in my mind. Really tough. Flames got their way into a shootout, trying to steal that second point. So let's go to my notes, because it just tells you if the guys scored or not on the NHL website. I think they could add a little blurb about the shot attempts. NHL, feel free to steal that. Morgan Frost, he does the same move he's done every time he's taken a shootout so far this year. Blazing fast until he gets to about the top of the circles, then throws on the brakes, works his way on his forehand to the center, picks his spot, beats DeSmith. Great wrister. Flames are up 1. Robertson, as I said, loves playing against the guys wearing the Flame and C. Works his way in, just kind of chopping veggies, moving the puck back and forth. Beats Cooley 5-hole, tied at 1. And then I understand you're trying to get Igor Sharangovich going. I wouldn't have necessarily sent him out this early in the shootout. I would have maybe bumped everyone else up and maybe put him in that 4th slot. But I'm not coaching this team. Sharangovich breaks in a nearly identical move, maybe a little bit slower off the burst. shot wasn't that competitive, didn't really challenge DeSmith. DeSmith was much more aggressive on that attempt, came right out to the top of his blue paint, kind of cut the angle down a little bit more. Tyler Seguin, again, just way too many moves, has Cooley beat, but cannot beat the iron. Rings it off the post, 1-1. Matty Stitches, he comes in. I wonder if it was kind of bothering him with his perception a little bit. He didn't get all he wanted on his wrist shot, stopped with the glove by DeSmith. So that sends out Wyatt Johnson with a chance to end it. But what a stop from Cooley. The windmill gets the glove up over his head, looking a little bit like prime Patrick Waugh. Shootout. It was not decided in the first three. We go to sudden death. And oh boy, Nazem Kadri, prepare to see that move through the highlights for the next week. Nazem Kadri, Deeks, waits and waits and waits on his backhand and goes bar down. What a shot by Nazem Kadri. The clutch gene runs in his family, and as I've said, he's just been one of the best Flames since the short little back-to-back break they had last week. Of course, the Stars can still counter-punch with them being the second shooter. They sent out Rupi Hintz, tried to outweight Cooley a la Nazem Kadri, but Cooley is aggressive, makes the stop, and the Flames have back-to-back wins. I didn't know we were allowed to do that in our pursuit of Gavin McKenna. Or I guess I can't even say that because the Flames front office doesn't agree with rebuilding. But anyways, Flames win. They get 2 in a row and 2 wins from backup Devin Cooley. Just reading some X right now. Conrad putting everyone who scored on the trade block tonight. Sure. But the Flames managed to win in a game that means a lot to a lot of people. And before we go into period number 2, I'm going to kind of take this intermission to talk about what the Hockey Fights Cancer game means to me. Mentioned it last year, briefly in passing, but my mom's been battling cancer for the last 3 years for this round. Is battling it for, let's call it almost 2 decades now. Started as melanoma, and it is obviously spread to a lot of her body. She actually was at the cancer clinic yesterday getting another scan to see what her next step in her journey is. So the Flames managing to pull out a win tonight meant a little something extra to me. And as much as I will forever probably be on Team Tank, as long as this team is continuing on this path, the wins on Hockey Fight Cancer just mean a little bit more. So, thank you to the Calgary Flames for winning tonight. My mom was in attendance. She had one of the Flames purple shirts on, and it's special. So thank you to the Calgary Flames for actually winning. Oh, as I kick my recycling bin over. Let's head on to period number 2, where we talk about Cooley and the gang. Because Devin Cooley was truly the show for most of this Flames game tonight. This game could have gotten ugly. The Flames didn't necessarily play the best through long extended stretches in the first and second periods. But Devin Cooley stood on his head, and as we've said, he has some of the best stats in the league. And we're saying maybe we need to go back to that 1A, 1B and let Dustin Wolf get a few games off if we are truly going to try and ride whatever this is to whatever better result we can find. But without Cooley, this game might have gotten out of hand. And I'd say that for a lot of backup goaltenders in this league, that's probably a lopsided win for the Dallas Stars. But yeah, it was truly a string of fantastic performances from a goalie that I think all of us that are here in chat, all of us Flames hardcores, at the beginning of the season wanted to send to the AHL or worse. I know we were looking at I'm going to be a broken record on this, but we all wanted to see who we could claim off waivers, and Cooley has like slowly but surely put himself into probably conversations and trade boards. But we like our core, and we're not going to trade anybody if we're going to believe what our front office has been saying. Anyways, I swear I won't beat that horse to death. And I don't think it's necessarily all Cooley. As much as his performances have been great, I think these Calgary Flames are starting to play actual hockey in front of them. Looking at expected goals, like Matt Coronado was a 1.2 expected goals, obviously had his today. Morgan Frost might have, as I say, might be the unluckiest player in hockey. He, according to Money Puck, should have had 1.4 goals. Nazem Kadri 1.6. Like, all three of those guys had more expected goals than the highest Dallas Star on that Money Puck's expected goals, being Mikko Rantanen in the 40 minutes of hockey that he played. Jason Robertson only had a 1.36. And it's funny, the expected goals percentage actually was highest for Blake Coleman. I actually didn't think he played that good of a game, but obviously Natural Stat Trick disagrees. So have the Flames started recognizing that, hey, it doesn't matter who's behind us, we actually need to play the game of hockey, as we continue to see the Flames team struggle with that sometimes. It's going to be an interesting period for the next little bit. And I have to wonder how much of the Flames were thinking, oh, this is a Dallas Stars team that we've been rumored to be in trades talks with. I wonder how much that played in. Obviously, I don't really want to speak for any of the Flames. You have to wonder if that was in Rasmus Anderson's mind. He wants to play better and potentially make his move down to Dallas. Hey, and if the rumor of Jason Robertson being the return, hey, if he plays that good in the Saddle Dome, why not let him play there for 41 games a year? Well, 42 as of next year. I'd take that. But I also think having some consistent defense pairings have really been helping. Do I think they're necessarily the right defense pairings forever and ever? Amen. No, I don't love Kevin Ball with Rasmus Andersson. And as we all know, Rasmus Andersson is on his way out. We've known that since last summer. So these defense pairings aren't going to continue forever and ever. Amen. It's probably going to be Kevin Ball and, I don't know, Zane Prek when he comes back from World Juniors. Regardless, I think we're starting to see a team finally starting to mesh with each other and not having to feel the effects of the line juggling as much, because that's probably part of success, allowing these lines to continue and not having to go into the Chat GPT line blender. But it is finally nice to see the Flames starting to work that more fully. And I think part of that is also making that waiver claim. Like, as much as there's probably going to be some people scratching their head continually why you make the claim for John Beecher, he's still a guy that, number one, has size, number two, was a first round pick, and number three, he's been good on the penalty kill other than taking down his player on the penalty replay. And hey, it's another one of those new upstate New York guys that Craig Conroy seems to love. So I'm not really that upset with the claim. Okay, take that back. Don't say those things. But anyways, like, I think it's good to see, because for everyone that's been watching this program since the preseason, I am okay with this team being bad as long as they're fun to watch. That was a great game to watch. I would have been okay with the Flames coming out with only 1 point. Hey, and even if they had lost in regulation, I probably would have been okay with it. I think the Flames played a very good game against a very good Dallas Stars team. Those are what I think everyday Flames fans want to watch. Even if we know that this Flames team is likely going to be in that 30 to 32 range at the end of the season, based on how few goals we score, if we can be in competitive hockey games, that will draw people into maintaining their season's ticket packages. Because it's tough, because as I said, if you looked at the description of our stream earlier, like, when I go through social media and I'm seeing fans threatening to cancel seasons tickets based on what this front office has said, this is what we want. We want Devin Cooley fighting for his life, keeping this team in it. We want to see guys starting to fight for their spots, like Matt Coronado playing his heart out, Jonathan Huberdeau standing up for his teammates, taking 17 minutes in penalties, Rasmus Anderson doing the Anderson stare until he makes his way out of town. That'll get people in the gates. But this will take us into period number 3, where we will have to talk about the statements that the director of hockey operations, Don Maloney, has said. But before we do that, I know it's going to get some people down, and some people don't love that and leave whenever I get angry about this team. Before you do that, go hit that like button, go hit that subscribe button, and hey, if you're on social media, hit that share button. Let's try and get some more people into this awesome chat, awesome community that we are starting to build. Shout out to KQ, the Denim Man, Matt C, Tokay. Shout out to all of you for your continued support. I just want to keep growing. I want to keep building. I want to get some young superstars in the chat, just like I want some young superstars on the ice. But, you know, that takes sharing, and in a world ruled by algorithms, it really does help. So to start this talk about Don Maloney, I'm going to go through a few tweets. And I was originally going to screenshot them so you can see them, but that takes tech and effort I wasn't necessarily willing to put in today. So this is from my friend and barn burner contributor Mike Gould. It's nice to know that the Flames management shares my sentiment that the notion of them procuring a top-end forward at any point in the near future is something out of a fantasy world. And that's not far off from reading the transcripts and how Eric Francis feels about Don Maloney's statement over the last week. And Eric Francis didn't give us a lot of how he interprets this over his 2 articles. It's on the second one, it was a little bit more. But it really does kind of feel like hockey operations, and thus the owner, feels that Calgary Flames fans are kind of infantile in their understanding of the National Hockey League. And I think that's what guys that are in this market, like Boomer, and anyone else that's in this market that isn't associated with Sportsnet, was really getting at over the last few days. The last 2 days between the game that we saw in Buffalo and today. Like, this is a fan base that really truthfully understands the sport of hockey. And for a lot of us, we really truthfully understand that this Calgary Flames team has held on to its stars a little bit too long and has fought for, let's get to 8th place and try and make a miracle run a few too many times. I love the Red Mile. I don't think anyone in this city doesn't love the Red Mile unless you're a service worker working on 17th Ave. It's a great time. But at the same time, if the best this organization can do is sneak in 8th place, get all the way to the Stanley Cup Finals, and have a goal called off due to parallax angles, if that's the best this team can do, you're doing this wrong. I said it 3 or 4 times this season. If you're not selling results, you're selling hope and faith. And what is there to be hopeful for these Flames fans if we aren't going to move on from talents that can draw in the best possible return? Is this us going and understanding that Murray Edwards doesn't want to pay a player to play on his own team, just like he doesn't want to play a coach that isn't coaching for his team? Like, do the Flames fans, such as everyone that's here in chat, everyone that's over in the Barn Burner chat that won't hear me talking about this, do we all need to just not go to games and truly make the Saddle Dome into the Silent Dome? And I'm not talking about go put your tickets on the resale. I'm saying have your tickets, own those tickets, and choose to not put a butt in that seat. Will the money still be going to CSEC? Yes. But I can tell you that a smart business person, like every single person that's on this ownership group is not going to like seeing their stadium empty. Even if the stats that they look at say, well, we sold 70% of our tickets. Cool. How does them not being in your arena, not wanting to watch your product, how does that advance you into that fancy new stadium where you're going to charge exponentially more for everything? So I don't think the Flames ownership group is going to go the Seattle model where you have affordable concourse items to buy. So I can tell you, your hot dog, that pocket dog's probably going to be closer to $20 than it already is. That's single game seat that you go and buy for yourself as your own Christmas present, oh, it's probably going to be at least 150% more expensive. But why are you going to do it if this Flames team is going to continue to excel at being mediocre and nothing else? I'm just letting that question hang there because it is what it is. Like, Murray Edwards, Alvin Libben, Alan Markin, Jeff McKaig, and Byron Seaman. You guys all are incredible business people. Alvin and the Seaman family, you guys have kept this team here for decades. Your families are the ones who brought this team here. Same with the McKeggs. Murray, you're a billionaire. You could lose money on this team for eons and still be crying into your cereal in Switzerland, mopping it up with dollar bills. We can't be afraid of being the Oilers and the Sabres when the Sabres are finally starting to get out of that. The Oilers have made 2 straight Stanley Cup appearances on the backs of 97 and 28 or 29. Leon Draisaitl. You're hearing talks about Macklin Celebrini and Connor Bedard being invited to Team Canada at the ages of 19 and 20 respectively. You're seeing what's going on with the Islanders. Like, Matthew Schaefer is incredible. But yet you want your 2 games of playoff revenue in this building and the next? How about let's have some forethought, some asset management, which CNRL has done for decades. Obviously, Canadian Natural Resources, for anyone who doesn't speak Marie Edwards, like I had to, living next to the man for most of my life. These are expiring assets that are not helping you to fill your building for the long term. And this city has a ton of fair weather fans. We are not Oakland that had, okay, I know I'm talking a different sport, but we don't have a ton of fans like Oakland who will watch terrible baseball, therefore terrible hockey, to make the reference complete, for a decade. Calgary has a lot of fair weather fans, and we have a lot of other things to do in the winter, being an hour away from Banff. Hey, and I know people that refused to go to Flames games last year because they didn't think the Flames were going to make it. They went to the Calgary Canucks because they had a chance to win a national championship. There are so many other things to do in Calgary over the winter and into the spring that people will go away. But how do you draw them back? By being a successful team in the long run. There are 4 very good prospects in this upcoming draft, even if the ping pong balls don't fall the Flames' way. Like, let's pull up the draft rankings. As I know, Gavin McKenna's actually fallen down a lot of people's lists. Keaton Verhoff is rising up the ranks. Ivor Stenberg, guy's been breaking records that's been held in the SHL since the days of the Sedins. And I even think Tynan Lawrence. All of these guys are guys that can re-engineer this Flame squad. I know people talk about Belshitz, and I don't think you need another left winger on this team unless it's Ivor Stenberg playing against men. But there are so many good prospects in this draft that even if you are 32nd place and somehow the ping pong balls land you in 2nd, 3rd, 4th, you are still leaving this Flames team in a way better situation to be an improving asset. Because as the Flames are right now, they're a 98 Honda Civic. Is it a perfectly good vehicle? Yes. Is it going to get you to your job and you're going to not have to worry about it? Sure. Why do you want to be in a 98 Civic when you can be in a Ferrari or a Lamborghini? Because I can tell you, McKenna, Verhoff, Stenberg, they might not get you all the way to a Lamborghini. They'll probably get you to a Mercedes, and a Mercedes will do you quite fine. So let's head into overtime, where I look through chat here. Tokay, I like Honda Civics. That's why I went there. It's a perfectly fine automobile. A nice, reliant automobile. If I ran the Calgary Flames team. Going back to Matt C's comment, Kadri is absolutely clutch. Yes, and I don't know how he's not higher in the order for these shootouts, given his 2 goals so far this year have both been absolutely beautiful. I think you have to raise him up the list there a little bit if you're the Calgary Flames. Talked about that. Okay, I guess here's a question, because I talked about it earlier on in the stream before some of our friends joined us. Will Matt Coronado hit 30 goals this year? Obviously, we said today he was starting to score with a little bit more regularity. With his goal in the first was his 8th of the year, and we're just over a quarter of the way through the season. There is a way that he can get to 30 goals this year. Will his cold streak at the start of the year maybe put a dampener on those chances? Probably. Will the sale of some of the assets, if that does come true, take away from some of those opportunities? Also possibly. But if Matt Coronado plays the way he's played the last, let's call it 6 games, for the rest of the 58? 59? There certainly is an opportunity that he does still score 30 this year. And as I said, it's definitely looking like Matt Coronado has solidified himself into a top 6 player on this team. Played how many minutes today? Let's grab that stat. Despite his injury, still played 16-18 in this game. Was a -1, but plus minus is a garbage stat anyways. Yeah, truly elevating himself and elevating his play in that of those around him over the last 6. Devin Cooley, been surprisingly good. We had spent a whole period talking about him in today's game. Nas him. Yes, I agree. Nas him. I'm sure that if we can find a trade deal, it will probably include a first rounder and a blue chip prospect if Nazem Kadri continues this and Murray Edwards decides to let us actually exercise our rights to trade. Tokay number 1, the comment that I said, no, we can't talk that way. Cooley probably convinced ownership that there will be no rebuild. It's okay. Stop. Calgary Flames may have finally heard that one of the hardest things to do in hockey, tank for draft picks while also playing meaningful hockey. I agree. As I said, keep playing fun games. Matt C saying Maloney's comments have basically confirmed the worst field of most Flames fans. They won't rebuild. They won't sell assets. They won't, unless they absolutely have to. And they won't prioritize youth. Yeah, I guess that's something we didn't talk about when I was talking about Maloney's comments. He really felt that you can't rush some of these players. Like, he talked so negatively about Zane Parekh. I was absolutely shocked. Also leads me to believe that Craig Conroy will not be returning with some of his comments. Don't love that. I actually think he's done really good. Saying that Ryan Huska is an excellent coach. We've had that conversation here. I don't think Ryan Huska is the best coach for this hockey team. I think maybe you let him play out this year and then say, I know you have your extension years coming up. Let's try and find you the next spot on the road and get Alex Tanguay in here. Talked about how Matt Gridden belongs with the Wranglers. Sure. If that's what you believe, I think that he's 19 and is a later round draft pick. If you want him to develop another year, yeah, that's probably where he belongs. However, I'd also argue that he's played really well. And so probably deserves a chance with the big club more than he actually got. And talking about Zane Parekh with Maloney, need to push Murray Edwards to try and get that deal with the Canadian Hockey League and the USHL to get him so we could play in the AHL without needing all of the time off, like for it to be a rehab assignment. That needs to be something that's worked on by ownership and hockey ops and general managers at the GM's meetings. Yeah, and then I guess I'm going to end this with kind of taking 2 of Denim Man's comments. The Oilers' Decade of Darkness model and the Flames 04 model. We need to find a middle ground between the two. Like, I think the Flames need to recognize that teams around them, whether you looked at how absolutely god-awful Chicago was even as early as last year, I think you need to remember that that has been turned around, like, through believing in your people, building these systems, that teams can turn around. It isn't an 8 to 10 year thing like it has been, or 14-year thing like it has been in Buffalo. As I'm going to quote Boomer and Retro here, and my guy Ryan Pinder, shout out to Pinder, love you, buddy. Like, the way you make a rebuild last 8 to 10 years is by holding on to stagnant assets, like a Nazem Kadri, like a Blake Coleman, like a Rasmus Anderson, like a Dan Vladar. Holding these assets doesn't help you rebuild. It might help you win 3 more games. And if winning... I know winning 1 more game would have got you into the playoffs last year. This isn't last year. The results haven't been there. Despite the Flames winning 2. Results not there. Let's figure it out. Let's reevaluate. Let's remember that we are smart business people, and part of that is asset management. But for today, you can breathe a deep sigh, or deep breath in, sigh of relief out. The Calgary Flames have a 2-game win streak that they're going to look to continue tomorrow as they head into Vancouver. And speaking of that game that is coming up tomorrow, we are going to have a guest host joining us. I know we haven't had any guests on this channel over the last 2 years, but we are having a Canucks fan join us at the Calgary Inclusive Hockey Association. The Calgary Flair. And hey, we can let locals who are fans of the Canucks come in here occasionally. He's one of their board members. His name's Nolan. He's the director of events for Calgary International Hockey Academy. Played in the game that we tried to do the broadcast for, and we will, continue to do with them. And, great to have more of our CIHA friends coming on. So I'm looking forward to having Nolan on tomorrow. Looking forward to watching Dustin Wolf and the Calgary Flames try again tomorrow to bring this win streak to 3 games. At the very least, play some really fun hockey. For myself, Conrad Krausert, and all of our hosts across the Game Over Network, thank you so much for spending your late evening into the night with us. We'll be back tomorrow. Flames versus Canucks, where the Flames look to go for their 3rd win in a row.